Hello and welcome to CJ110 Introduction to Criminal Justice. It's winter 2020 semester, and as you probably figured out by now, I'm not there today. Um, Even though we've been talking about this, and actually I'm recording this on Saturday, and there is a storm out there. It's kind of a perfect storm when it comes to attending my favorite conference every year. Ironically, it landed in the first week of school, and so we'll make do with what we're going to do, and it'll benefit us, and we'll keep moving forward as we go through this type of thing. So, just wanted to share a few things with you just to get on the right start and talk about just a little bit basic as to what we're going to do, and we'll catch up with the rest of it when I get in there. So, what I'd like to spend a few minutes on is talk about what is CJ110, Blackboard stuff, and assignments. So let's get right into it. Well, what is CJ110? Well, the course description would say that it's a survey of agencies composing the criminal justice system, primarily the police, the courts, the corrections portions of our system there. It's an introduction to philosophical and historical backgrounds. It's a development of systems, services, and agencies, and an analysis of criminal justice programs. Now, that's kind of a heavy duty description, and frankly, it's used to get the course approved initially, and ultimately, it's what other institutions use when they decide whether they're going to give you transfer credit for this class. In a little bit different nutshell, these are some of the things that I like to accomplish. First one is to talk about the criminal justice process. It's kind of like, well, what happens? How does this whole thing work? It's called a system, but there's really only one way into the system, and there's different actors, different players in that process, and so forth. And my goal is um, that we'll cover those kinds of things and have an understanding of that. We're going to talk about past, present, and future operations of criminal justice. I really don't like history a lot, but it is kind of fun to study where our roots came from in several pieces, including especially in our law enforcement agency. That unique vocabulary of CJ. It's kind of a regular vocabulary for me, but I realize that people look at me funny when I say certain things. But a couple of my favorite ones have to do with um, you'll probably wake up some morning and hear that somebody's lodged in the Kent County Jail and with a charge of open murder. Open murder. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean they did it outside? Open murder? Well, actually not, but we'll talk about that. Or somebody's been charged with a capital crime, and you go, well, I got that one. That's easy. Um, that means they did it in Washington or Lansing, Michigan, the capitals, things like that. Well, that's not so true either, but that's why we do this stuff. And a critical understanding of criminal justice. I see so much bad information that comes through all of our different types of media that we consume. Sometimes people snap to judgment before, and typically when a comment gets made that it's still under investigation, you really should let them look at it. Also, I hope to get you to a point that understanding the process that we talked about in the first one up there and this critical understanding, that you'll have a good opportunity to help out some of your friends someday who either maybe get in trouble, so you'll know what the next thing for them to do and give them a little advice, um, or be able to watch some of this media and so forth and go, that's not right, and there's something wrong here. So I'll give you some examples as we go through the class. And it wouldn't be a good survey class unless we talked about where the job opportunities there. Not everybody wants to work the front line. Maybe you want to be a police officer or a lawyer or a corrections officer, but not everybody wants to do that, but they'd like to do something that has to do with it. There are thousands of jobs, both direct and indirect, that support our criminal justice system, and we're just going to show you a few of those really good opportunities, some of which you're already qualified um, because you're sitting there. So let's spend a couple minutes talking about stuff. I know that's pretty technical there, but what I'm going to do is switch over to this screen here. Like I said, I'm recording this on Saturday for you to listen to on Tuesday, and only time will tell, but this is it's kind of a storm, ice storm and stuff like going on. You can see there's that notice up there. I like people to, we spend most of our time in something called Blackboard, and so what I like for people to do is find the easiest way to get there. I suspect a lot of you have been into Blackboard already, but if you haven't, the easiest way to get there, or when in doubt, just log on to the GRCC homepage, grcc.edu. And down here, right underneath the picture there, are some little links. One's the Online Center where you sign up for a class like this, or you'll get your grades and so forth. Your student email, find out if people are absent and so forth. But we want the one that says Blackboard. So if we click that, it'll take you to the logon page, which I jumped past because I've already been logged on. And if you look around here, you go to the right hand side, and typically you'll find our class, and ours is Introduction to Criminal Justice, Tuesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. TR stands for Tuesday, and R stands for Thursday. If you click this, you'll end up here, and if you see that big banner there that says Criminal Justice, you're in the right place. So this is where we're going to put a lot of our stuff. In fact, most of the time I don't even print a syllabus out, and you're going to actually be given one. So that kind of violates some of my rules, but because I'm not there today, I wanted you to have something actually to write on. That's why you got that cover sheet that goes along with it. And so, seeing this will be a good time for that syllabus to come out. I don't want you to read the syllabus. I want you to get out a pen or a pencil, and I know half of you don't have one. Shame on you. But get one, and when everybody's got one there, the top page there is what I want you to write on. Forget about the syllabus for now. We don't have time for that. And you have an assignment that goes with that. So I'm going to give you a list of things that I'm going to have you write on that assignments due list there. And that's where we're going to go. Okay, that should be enough time. If not, you can catch up here. So the first thing you're going to want to write at the top of the assignments due is to get yourself logged on and find our Blackboard class. Okay, get yourself to this spot right here. If you haven't ever done, or haven't gone on to criminal justice, or when you tried to do that, you find out that your password is expired, you need it reset, you don't know how to do it, you just have to leave the classroom here, walk around the corner there, and go down to room 215, 215, where there's an open computer lab, and those people have the rights to help you reset your password if you haven't set up the system to do it on your own. So you're just down the hall from making sure. So don't leave today unless you know that you can get into Blackboard. All right. Number 2 on your list says to go look around. Okay. You can't get in trouble. To kind of show you what I mean here, let's just look at the page here that has some announcements on it. The first one has to do with the textbook. We'll come back to that in a minute. There's another one down here that talks about the fact that you really should if you have a social media page, a Facebook page there, do you well to follow not only Grand Rapids Community College, but also the Grand Rapids Criminal Justice page. And if you want to go in the Police Academy, the Police Academy also. We put lots of good stuff on there. Good information, career information, job opportunities. Remember I said you were possibly qualified for jobs now? Employers around here with good paying jobs love criminal justice students. You just are a little bit more responsible. You have a certain aptitude, and they love to give you the first right for some of the jobs that are out there. So when we get those, I'll try to announce them in class, but you'll probably have already heard about them if you subscribe to our Facebook page there too. While you're at it, you can put this on your list of things to do. It says a couple of questions there. There's a little a survey. There's actually just 7 questions. Take you just a couple of minutes to do. But if you would do that before the next time that we meet, that would be useful there. Just click that link to the survey or copy and paste it there at the bottom there. It has to do with some questions about continuing your education into for your bachelor's degree. I know that seems like a long ways off, but it's useful for us and for planning and those kinds of things too. Other things you want to do, you have all of these. You don't have the bottom half here, but you'll find the syllabus, the thing that was passed out there, and the same document. So again, that's typically where everything's at. I used to read the whole thing on the first day, but I found out that first off, nobody listened to me, and number two, it used to only be one page. Now it's like six, and so you need to read it. It's kind of important, and I'll actually test you to see if you actually did read it in a couple of different ways. Other things in here, some information about me, other links, but again, um, go in there and look around. You can't break anything. You're not going to do anything bad or anything like that too. Um, so anyways, the next question that typically comes up here, going back to the announcements page, brings us back to the home page, is kind of like, okay, what about that book we're supposed to have? What about our textbook? Well, first off, I always have this goal to spend the least, have a student spend the least amount of money, and for a while here, the McGraw-Hill has been nice and give us a pretty good price on the things that we use here too. So this a couple of paragraphs here should answer most of your questions, but just understand that you need to have your Connect access. So the first thing that typically comes up is kind of like, can I get this book online from another person? And the answer is no. Okay, and the reason is that the book is the book, but what we really have to have, and where a lot of your grade comes from, and where we get a lot of our information, is in the online component of our class, which is Connect. The product's called Connect, CJ Connect. And so you need an access card for that, and that's, you won't get that off of Amazon or Chegg or whatever the places people are getting books from nowadays. So if you already got one, you might want to send it back. You got to have an access card. And most of the time you only need the access card. And so there's, I'll tell you about it in just a minute, but there's ways that you can save a whole bunch of money if you're comfortable with an ebook. And there's a lot of reasons for that type of thing. So there's your information about the textbook, and I'll show you once you get that access what to do with it here. So, okay. So the next thing on your list of things to do is to go to the discussion board. Okay, go to the discussion board, and you're going to find in the discussion board there are two. You'll be able to see two discussion threads, or actually forums, I guess they're called, for you to do. The first one is an introduction. Okay, and so when you're ready to do your introduction, you just go in here and click the button that says Introduction, and you'll see that I've already put mine in there. And what you do is when you're ready to do your introduction, you go up here and hit the button that says Create Thread, and it opens up really a word processor, and you can type in here and make that. You can make sure you put a title, like your name or something in there, and then type it in there. Okay, if you're creative, you can do all kinds of fancy things like change the font and the size and color and all these other kinds of things. Do whatever. You can put pictures in there. You got a favorite pet or something like that, or something significant that you're proud of. Put a picture in there. You can insert a picture, I don't know, somewhere right there. You would. So whatever you want to do, keep in mind the whole class is going to be looking at it. So share what you need to do. Okay. So let me cancel this out. The other thing that you need to do is to read that syllabus that you got. Remember, I'm not going to do it for you, but read it. Actually, read it twice. And then the other forum is, as it says, start a thread and continue and confirm that you've read the syllabus. Okay? So tell me that you've read it twice. And you know, it's kind of like when you download an app to your phone, before you can use it, you have to accept the agreement. That's really what you're doing here, going, I accept that all the things are in there that I know something about and I'm going to do. But then to kind of check that you did it is put something in this forum here, start a thread and put it in the forum, that either shows me something that you noticed or you had a question about. The syllabus makes perfect sense to me, but you know what? Not everybody understands the way I explain things sometimes. So then you have to just put the question in there, and I'll try to clear it up for you. Okay? And if you have a question, it's possible that somebody else does too. Notice that these two assignments are due by the end of the day, which is 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, 2 days from now. And so what's important here is that you, if you want your points for it, we're going to want you to, you're going to have to do them anyway, but if you want the points, I only give points to people who turn things in on time, you want the points, then make sure that you get them in by Thursday. All right, so that's number 4 on your list, or should be, or actually no, it should be number 3. Um, and so the next thing on your list is to get set up for Connect. Oh, by the way, well, 2 things here. I'm sorry. Let's go back. When you click the syllabus button, whereas if you sometime during later in the day Thursday, if you click into the introductions page, you saw my introduction in there. You'll see everybody else's. Okay. But if you're late in the day on Thursday and you go in here to create a thread in the syllabus, you may not see anybody's. Okay. And that doesn't mean that nobody else has done it. That means that you have to post yours before you can see the others. Okay, that's just to keep people honest. All right, I just don't want people at the last minute to go in and find somebody else's, read a couple of them, and then put their own stuff in there. I want you to go and get it out of the actual syllabus. So just know about that. And also remember, when you create a thread, you always have to go to the bottom and submit it. Don't save it, submit it. Well, you can save it, but if you want me to be able to see it and give you points, you have to submit it eventually. All right. So the next thing on the list that I've got, and I've got this as like number 4 on my list, you might have it as a different number, doesn't make any difference, is that you want to get set up for Connect. And you do that by getting into the Assignments tab here. When you get to the Assignments tab here, this is what it's going to look like. And I've actually put an assignment in there because that's your quick link to go to get set up. Now, when I click this, and I will do that in just a minute, when I click this, it's just going to send me to my dashboard, or it takes me directly to the class if I clicked a different button, and it doesn't do what I'm going to explain here. When you click it for the first time through your Blackboard system, what it does is checks to see if you've established a relationship with McGraw-Hill and with Connect. And if you haven't, it's going to, okay, you need to supply some information to us. Have you ever had an account? If not, let's set one up. Give us some basic information. Use your GRCC email, and so forth. You'll only have to do this once. But then, as you move through to get to the point where you can get to the actual assignment, it's going to ask you how you want to pay for this. Okay, and there's really 3 ways. One is you can go back and see on the front page is your options on getting quote-unquote your textbook. And it goes from that you can actually buy a book and an access card from the bookstore. And so the access card is kind of bundled in the loose leaf. Looks like an advertisement, so don't throw it away at the back of it. It's bundled in there, and you scratch off the code and you type it into a section that's there. Another way to do this is that if you have a debit or a credit card that's got, I think, $80 on it. I think that's the price that was on there. And hopefully that's the same this semester too. If you got $80 on it, you can go buy it from there, and it's just $80, no tax or anything like that. So it's significantly less, and you're just getting access. But you're getting access with the ebook and the assignments that you're going to do. Okay, and you can buy just a card from the bookstore too for a reduced price, but not as cheap as you can buy it directly through this link here. Okay, so pick one of those out. And the last but not least one is that you can get 2 weeks free access to Connect. So there's no reason that you won't get your first assignment done at least. But just understand, it does expire at the end of 2 weeks, which the 2 weeks starts today, being Tuesday. And it's not the day that you actually sign up for it. It starts immediately when the class starts. And do that. Also, if you notice right there, the due date for this is January 16th. So I pushed this out a little bit, but also keep in mind that the 14th, January 14th, you're also going to have Chapter 2 that's going to get assigned too. We'll get on a regular system. So let me show you a little bit. Once you get yourself set up in Connect, if you click the button here, and I'm going to have to click a couple more. This is my dashboard. If I hit the preview button, I'll go into Learn Smart as you see it. When you click the button, it's going to look like this and set yourself in it. Typically, it's going to come in here based upon where you were last, okay? And where I was last was actually in the Learn Smart part. But you can't really do the Learn Smart until you read your chapter. So you're either going to come in on this page or the other page. And so this is basically Chapter 1, okay? And you're expected to read those things, all right? And the electronic book. But where you get your points from is not from reading. It's to go down to this button down in the bottom left. It says practice. And when you click that, it comes up with this question here. And it's got a number of questions. Okay, it says 53 items left. And so it kind of keeps track of where you're at. You can start and stop it and things like that. You just got to get it done by the due date. And so you can compete against yourself and others. Yeah, there's not many people using this yet, but here's some anonymous persons that got 12, 10. I got nothing because I haven't done any of these. So as students do them all over the United States, it's kind of, you can compete and see how you stand against other people. So, you know, here's the question, here's the answer. You can then bet yourself, place your bet, going, hey, I know this thing. Well, I think so. Not sure. I have no clue. Now, hopefully, if you read the chapter, you're not down in here in the bottom, but if you are, but what you can do, and this is what's so cool about electronic books, is you can click this button that says read about this, and it'll take you back to the textbook and show you exactly where that came from. Okay, so what I like about electronic books, they've actually highlighted the places that really have the most amount of information here. You should read the chapter, but if you need to go back and study for something or whatever it might be, go back and read the highlighted parts also. And so you're jumping back and forth from the practice to the book, and it's actually the practice, getting the whole practice done, get all this done, that gives you your points. Okay, makes sense? So let's close this and go back to Blackboard here. And so there you go. You get yourself all set up and Learn Smart. That solving, doing the discussion board things and get yourself into Connect and get started on Chapter 1 gets you a long ways towards getting a good start in this class here too. So let's go back up to my PowerPoint. I think I've covered everything I wanted. Whoops, that wasn't what I wanted to cover. This one. So that was pretty much stuff, and we just gave you a list of questions. And so just remember, I got you not necessarily any order. Get yourself logged in to the Blackboard course and find the class. Look around. Do that little survey for me on the front page there. Get to the discussion board. Post those 2 posts by the end of the day on Thursday, an introduction and that question about the syllabus. Get yourself set up for Connect and get started on Chapter 1. And if you have any questions, just send me an email and I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours is typically the standard there. And one more thing. Because I'm out of town, I will not be back for class Thursday either. So you get the day off Thursday, but you've got some things to do on my time. And we'll come back here a week from today, a week from Tuesday, the 14th. So have a good day. Thanks.